Of great concern is the forced eviction of Cambodian civilians and threat to use national law against them and to evict hundreds more from the lands they have lived in for decades. Such way of territorial control on the segment of the border yet to be demarcated. From a country once hosting UN peacekeeping mission, Cambodia has become a steadfast contributor to global security. Since 2006, we have deployed over 10,000 peacekeepers, more than 800 of them women, to 10 UN missions across the globe. We have protected civilians, clear landmines, and support rebuilding war-torn communities. We are currently an active member of the UN Peacebuilding Commission, helping nations emerging from conflict to build institutions and foster reconciliation. Madam President, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Cambodia's transformation embodies the UNPA 80 theme, namely, countries once in need can now become providers of peace and stability for others. It is therefore deeply painful to inform this august assembly that the hard-won peace that we so profoundly cherish and wholeheartedly share around the world is today threatened in our own home, not by internal division like in the past, but border conflict with a neighbor. We are grateful that a ceasefire brokered by US President Donald Trump effectively halted armed clashes that has caused death, injury, and destruction, and the displacement of hundreds of thousands of innocent civilians. Like Armenia and Azerbaijan, Cambodia has nominated President Donald Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize for his crucial role in this important step to peace. However, the ceasefire remains very fragile, despite expressed commitment from both countries on the sincerity to strictly comply with the ceasefire terms, to rebuild trust and restore normalcy, and the positive outcome of following meetings hosted and coordinated by Malaysia, the ASEAN chair. But sincerity is only credible and trust can only flourish when respect with both the letter and the spirit of the agreement matches with real action on the ground. Sadly, continued unilateral move to impose territorial sovereignty from our neighbor, using forces instead of agreed mechanism, unilateral maps instead of internationally recognized ones that were produced in accordance with treaties that bind the two countries, and countless other actions undermine this trust-building and peace accord. Of great concern is the forced eviction of Cambodian civilians and threat to use national law against them and to evict hundreds more from the lands they have lived in for decades. Such way of territorial control on the segment of the border yet to be demarcated demonstrate a clear disregard, not only for the terms of the ceasefire, but also the mutual agreements on the settlement of border issues. In the process, Cambodia's sovereignty and territorial integrity are violated, and the rights and dignity of many Cambodians infringed. Cambodia has consistently and strictly observed the ceasefire, demonstrating good faith and full transparency in the implementation of its terms. We have exercised utmost restraint, even in the face of repeated incident and provocation. As recently as this morning, there was an unprovoked attack near a sensitive site. following an allegation that our force had opened fire first. We firmly reject such accusations. Our troops have not fired first, nor have they returned fire in retaliation to the provocation, underscoring our commitment to peace. Guided by the same spirit that ended our internal conflict near 3 decades ago, Cambodia reaffirmed its call for dialogue and the peaceful settlement of all outstanding issues. Urged strict, sincere adherence to the agreed terms of the ceasefire, full respect for bilateral agreements, and observance of international law, including the Charter of both the United Nations and ASEAN. We earnestly seek the continued support and good offices of the ASEAN Chair and Member State, the Secretary General of the United Nations and relevant UN bodies, as well as leaders around the world, to help de-escalate tension, encourage a peaceful resolution, and prevent any further tragedy. Cambodia is a small nation, focused on rebuilding our economy and improving the well-being of our people. We pose no threat to the sovereignty of any country. While we will always safeguard our independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity, the use of force will only remain a last resort. Cambodia will continue every effort to restore trust and normalcy, to promote harmonious coexistence and good neighborly relations, and to transform border areas into zones of peace, friendship, cooperation, and shared prosperity. Madam President, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, to honor the Founders' vision and meet today's realities, the United Nations itself must adapt. Cambodia supports pragmatic, incremental reform that strengthen the UN effectiveness without undermining the Charter. We believe that key priorities include empowering preemptive diplomacy and mediation, giving the UN more tools to defuse crises before they erupt. Strengthening the General Assembly, which is the most representative body, by giving its resolution greater follow-up capacity and moral weight. Expanding non-permanent Security Council seats to better reflect today's multipolar world and enhance legitimacy of the Council. Enhancing peacekeeping and border monitoring missions, especially in dispute areas, so that small states have equal access to mediation and protection. Complementary measures such as funding, technology, and gradual legal adjustment can turn broad reform principles into concrete progress. For countries like Cambodia, the UN's greatest strength is not coercive force, but its moral authority, legitimacy, and convening power, quality that can shield small nations and sustain peace. As we commemorate 80 years of the United Nations, let us honor the vision of its founders by choosing cooperation over confrontation, dialogue over division, and hope over despair. Cambodia stands ready to work to be better together with all member states, the UN system, and our partners worldwide to ensure that the decades ahead are defined by peace, sustainable development, and the unshakable dignity of every human being. I thank you.